It's not getting in.
Welcome everybody out there in podcastland. The Good Times with Good People company proudly presents the Loft Party Podcast, where it is always about good times, good people, and good talk. Good. Now that you've received your invitation, join us. Grab a cocktail, light a cigar, or whatever you like to smoke. Tell a friend, and welcome to the party. I'm your host and moderator, Rio, and let's introduce today's panel. So we have got our returning champion, Chris O'Connor. He is the owner of Liquid Night Entertainment and Investments, and also Office Works. We've got Big Dave Elliott. He's the owner of C&P Construction. And Ben Roberts. He is our bartender extraordinaire up here at the Pendergast Club. And the anonymous female may be joining us late. She had some things she had to take care of. And today, episode 51 of the Loft Party Podcast, this is why they told you not to wait until the last minute to do your homework. But you had 7 years. So, wait, it sounds as if we may have another guest. I'm going to stall momentarily.
I'm going to guess it.
And no, we have a drink delivery, and that's okay.
Well, you can sit down and join it.
You're going to do the podcast for this day?
I just wanted to smoke.
Thus,
Thanks so much.
thus is the life at the Pendergast Club. Okay, so first, as we do every week, we're going to start with RIPs, and here's one that I was surprised because I would have thought that this person passed a while ago. David Rockefeller, the patriarch of the Rockefeller clan, passed away.
Not the patriarch, the modern.
The modern patriarch of the Rockefeller family passed away at 101.
Grandson of John D.
Of John D. Rockefeller, yes.
Money will buy you good health care.
Man, let me tell you. Money will buy you excellent health care.
Yeah.
So, before we get too deep, let's play a quick party game. So, what 4 words would you say to your 17-year-old self?
Dumbass. Be the first thing I'd say to him. Do I have to say 4 words?
Just only 4 words.
Only 4 words. That's too many too.
Yeah, I actually thought about this one. I'll even give you 5 words.
All right.
If you
Pull head out of ass.
That works.
okay, that'll do it.
Don't get so drunk.
Okay.
I would say it'll always be okay.
All right. And mine is leave that girl alone.
Can I amend and just join on yours?
Yeah, really. Leave that girl alone. All right, so here we go. Before we get to probably the more looming topic, which of course is the American Health Care Act being put on indefinite hold, a couple things jumped up at me this week that I thought were, to say the least, a little disturbing. Not unprecedented, but a little disturbing. So first, Ivanka's husband, Jason Kushner, has been employed with the Trump administration, I want to say as a special advisor. And now...
His title changed today.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
And what is his new title?
Basically, he's a czar now.
Gardener.
For
Really?
basically efficiency in government. I mean, his job is to take a business aspect look at government and see where if I understood it right. Now, because I just heard it on the radio one time.
Okay.
But it's I'm not sure the dead title. We could Google it up probably and find it pretty quick. But I think that's basically what it boils down to.
Okay.
Is that he's there to basically bring an business aspect to government, which by God we know government could use a business aspect to it because it is largest and it is huge and duplicating, and there's areas where it can work very much more so efficiently. And I think that should definitely be one of the things that this administration should look at, ways to make things efficient. If I ran my business like the government runs business, I would have been out of business in about 4 days.
They have a different set of responsibilities, which I always have a problem with this. And I think, like you in theory, I wish the government would run like a business, and I'm with you on that. In practicality,
But it's still government.
I understand what you're saying.
And you're right, Nat, I know where you're going.
And it's not, because in practicality, what you cannot do, and I'll throw out the classic example, people go, oh, this $700 hammer. I understand the $700 hammer. The reason they were paying it was to make sure that there were still manufacturing jobs in the little small southern shit-ass city that was making the $700 hammer and selling it back to the government. It kept all those people employed.
It was pork.
So you can say it was pork, but
Pork.
I would say it was jobs.
It's a job program.
And
That's what pork did, because it created jobs or
So-
created goodwill towards the person that got
so
it.
here's the other part of the prompt. So we would say, okay, let's pay $4 a hammer. Let's close down that manufacturing plant, get rid of those people who then go on unemployment, and then I know a lot of conservatives say, well, if you're on unemployment, you should be working on federal programs and stuff like that, like we did in the 30s with the Public Works Administration. Well, guess what we were doing in the Public Works Administration? It was nothing but pork to keep people working. So it's the same, it's just a circular argument. It is a thing where we're not really doing anything that is positive. Yes, we're paying $700 a hammer, I get it, but those people are staying gainfully employed and paying taxes and doing all the other things, and you did not just shut down a rural economy for no reason. And
Because you'd have to find another program.
But there's another.
otherwise, we would have had to find another program, a Public Works Administration program, which, yes, I understand went out with the New Deal, but still exists today, basically. And we subsidize all this stuff. And what I find to be the most ironic thing is the biggest Republican voters are the farmers who take public subsidies. Really? You're a small government little farmer, but you
Might make $1 million
Republican,
off of running your
and
CRP.
and you just want the government to maintain how much soybeans you make and pay you for the rest. It's nonsense.
But
it's nonsense.
Here's part of the problem.
That's a public works program.
With the hammer company and these type of companies. Yes, they're employing employees, but you know that palm's getting greased. Somebody's pocketing a shitload of money somewhere.
Sure.
Generally, the owner of the company and possibly even the congressman or somebody related to the congressman is turning around and pocketing that money in their back pocket in a heavy grease.
Is that different than being greased
Well,
by
it
the
happens
federal
here in
government?
town.
If you are a Western Kansas farmer who gets paid to not plant crops, is that any different?
I don't like that either.
So I don't think that it's necessarily a corrupt government or a corrupt senator or a corrupt congressman or whatever the case may be. Listen, Bob Dole was one of the best at getting federal money to come into this state, and he earned it over time, and he kept Kansas as a fairly significant political state for a very long time. But I would say, okay, yes, the farm subsidies I did not think were probably correct. You know, at some point, if you're a free market person, you're a free market person. At the same time, he represented Kansas. So he represented his constituents. And beyond that, the other things that he did that outweighed it by far were the American Disabilities Act, in which I think everybody could sign on and say that was a brilliant act, which made it possible for handicapped citizens in this country to be able to work, function, have access to buildings, do all the things that the rest of us can do So there's two sides to every coin on this, and this one I don't particularly mind. This one's not a big one to me. I do believe that government does have some waste, and you'd be an idiot to think that. But what people call waste is going somewhere, and sometimes that is what creates jobs and keeps cities alive. So I can give you examples of places in western Kansas that would be dead without farmer subsidies, and yet we then decry, because all that's going to happen is corporate farm owners, the Cargills and all those other people are going to come in and buy up that land, and now we're going to have nothing but corporate farming with genetic engineering on the food and everything else. I'm like, is that better? Is that better? I don't know.
You can look at it in a lot of ways. We were building some houses in the 90s down here in Kansas City Hood. And are we bettering the neighborhood because we're tearing down some crack houses and putting in a new house?
That's a local and state issue.
My thought is, I want to be part of this. We're doing some things.
But it's a local and state issue, not a federal issue.
But the local politicians, builders, and all the people, developers involved with it, were sucking money out of it as fast as they could.
But I'm talking at the federal level, because the question is,
that's federal money coming in for that too.
It's addressing the federal government and what they're doing and where they're spending their money. Very little of that money is actually done at a federal level. Most of it is done at a state and local level. And if you're a good politician who wants to make any money, you should say state and local, because that's where you get all your graft money from in the first place. You know.
So I got a question. So
I mean, you got to agree with that. You've seen that 1,000 times in your business, in construction. My God, where do you think they're not negotiating the deals in D.C.? They're negotiating the deals 2 blocks from here in stupid City Hall. You know that.
Yep.
That's where the tax revenue comes from here.
Oh, I understand. Believe me, Power and Light District would not have happened
It's a piece of
if
crap.
they didn't cut a deal. And did the Power and Light District add into all this building we got going on around here?
No.
Yes, it did. I disagree. Yes, it did, because it created a central access.
What about the $30 million in bonds that we pay every year on it? So you think that we have made more than the bond payments? Because it's been a massive failure as a
It's a massive
generator.
failure, but it spurred other things along. I'm not for it. I don't think it was.
You think it's made more than the $30 million that we have paid in bonds every year since it's been open, and you think it's made more than the TIF money that we gave out to the other developers who came in and said, here's a sweetheart deal in a city that's a sucker who
It certainly hasn't yet.
Itself. It is not yet.
But I don't know how many people did you bring downtown to get to work in Kansas City where they got to pay the 1% earnings tax, which is 40% of our budget.
I'm not denying
I
that.
don't know. I'm not that politically savvy about Kansas City and how they're collecting their
I can
taxes.
tell you where AMC is located right now, and that's out in Leawood.
Well, Jerry Lopez was a friend of mine, and I understand why he went down there, and I know that Pete Da Silva and all of them sat down with him and tried to not
They did everything
get him
they
out
could
of
to try to
downtown.
not get him to go.
And then, of course, Jerry went down there and got his Chinese company, Melinda.
Well, and now
And
you've
there,
seen
now
that,
he's gone. He's with Extended Stay
even
America.
beyond that, you've seen that Kansas has proposed a 3.5% flat tax period. They're one of, and again, I'm not a Kansas fan, but what they have done is propose what really does need to be done at some point.
3.8% flat
I thought it
tax.
was 3.5, but it
Something
might
like
be
that. Yeah,
3.8.
we
It's a
had
flat tax regardless of what you make in the state across the board.
Right.
Period.
We had
This is a great idea.
Senator Julia Lynn. We sat down with her the other day. 3 of us did, and we talked. One of the things that got brought up was that flat tax.
God, this has to affect your
And
business.
she's not dead sure. She's not dead sure it's a good thing or a bad thing. She's still tossing it around.
I don't understand the negative side of the flat tax. When you can do your taxes on a postcard and literally mail them in, every country and every community that's tried a flat tax, one, not only are the taxes simpler and your collections go way higher, your rate of returns are insane. So where you have all these people who now dodge taxes constantly, you can't dodge anything. You get no write-offs, you pay 3.8%, period, done.
And that gets into the tax reform that we're trying to get done on the federal level now. Where's that going to go?
In every country, it's turned out to be a 90+% rate of return on people filing their taxes correctly and legally and paying the money.
Well, it simplifies it.
It's easy as hell.
How am I ever going to turn around as a business, or you as a business, and turn around and grab all of our tax paper and all the forms that we're supposed to have and sit down and look at it and figure it out? I can't do it. I couldn't even come close.
Dude, I'll tell you a true story. And this is why one reason I sold part of my business was we did not know that we were allowed to deduct, and our accountant did not know that we were allowed to deduct as a film production company up to 9% of our income based on a manufacturing credit that was designed to keep jobs in America, that California's getting their ass handed to them and lobbied to have film and video production as part of it. Our accountant didn't know because it's a manufacturing credit. It sounds like it's for workers who work in car plants and they don't want their job to go to Mexico. She had no idea.
Well,
So we got our ass handed to us, and we were paying 9% in extra tax.
I had a similar situation.
It's nonsense.
I had a partner with one of the very affluent accountants here in town, was my accountant. And she had worked her way up, and her rate got up to where it was like $450 an hour or something insane. So I started looking for another accountant. I found a guy that had been in the corporate arena, had stepped out, he was a little older, prices were reasonable. He went back through my stuff and found stuff that they were missing because she was too high up. All of her underlings, I had 5 or 6 people on my report
Sure.
that were looking at it. They were missing stuff. Saved me $5,000 right off the bat. We
estimated, so this law went into effect in 2005 under George Bush. I can tell you hundreds of thousands of dollars that we cannot reclaim because you can only file up to 3 years of back taxes.
Jesus.
And we overpaid the federal government
Yep.
and have no chance of getting back.
Nope.
Wow.
And I lost a bunch too.
Yep.
I
Sucks.
thought I had an ace in the hole and that knew what she was doing,
I'm with
and
you.
she was too busy taking care of the bigger clients. I'm too small.
Highly recommended person, same kind of thing. What the larger point is, and I think this gets back to your question, is this tax code is insane.
Insane.
It does not work.
Nope.
It doesn't work at all. It is
Never gonna
fundamentally
work.
detrimental to the United States. And if you really wanted to help people make it easy, the compliance is easy. Everybody drives on the roads. Everybody does everything. Listen, if you make $20,000 and you're paying 3%, that's the same as making, $300 million and paying 3%.
3%.
The amounts are different, but
But the percentage is the same across the board. Yeah.
So how do you deal with the reality of the fact of this one fact with our tax code? Why is our tax code where it is? Why has it been written like it is?
The progressive tax?
Because of the lobbyists, for the accountants, for the tax lawyers, and all these people that want this in place.
I would say I would
So
make it.
how do you get a flat tax when it puts most of those people out of business?
I would make
Well,
it-
yeah, it's gonna hurt.
It'll affect them, but I would make a very different argument, which is that is not why the progressive tax is in place. The progressive tax is in place because there's different times where you need to spur different parts of the economy. And so if construction is down, for example, you can put in deductions that encourage people to spend on housing, which would directly
Which
affect
we've had our equipment
If
deduction up to
film production is
$250,000
down,
every year.
You can actually target a specific industry and say, okay, let's pass deductions for the film industry to encourage the production of films in the United States, yada yada, instead of just a blanket flat rate. I still think the blanket flat rate works, and it works the best because what happens is you get more revenue coming in because more people comply with the tax law, and you don't get the deductions, and you certainly don't miss deductions because there are none, which is great. But it does go back to this entire point where you're talking about the fact that they're getting money for nothing and the government waste and looking at it like a business. Then actually look at it like a business. Know your costs. Yeah. If your costs are 3.8%, then congratulations. Let's collect 3.8% from everybody and just go on with life. Yeah. That's the simplest thing in the world.
I mean, it's 3.8 or even 5% is less tax than what most people pay now.
Most countries are about 15%.
Yeah.
I mean, most countries are run somewhere between 12 and 50% who do the flat tax.
Yeah.
And their rate of compliance is above 90% in almost every case.
Yeah. No, I fully agree.
And everybody has skin in the game.
Okay, so here's my
But we'll
second,
get off the question a little bit.
Yeah, well, here's my second
Not
question.
far.
My second question about the same people. So, with Ivanka and her husband being employed by the White House, one, they're not technically government employees. And two, with Ivanka anyway, they'd be getting exorbitant security clearance to not have an actual government job because neither one of them is taking a government salary.
So first off, there's various levels of security clearance. So I don't know what level of security clearance she has.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, now
at
she
this
doesn't
table
have.
does.
She doesn't have any now. But if she takes this new position, they were saying that she's going to be getting. She's going to be getting because she's going to be considered a special advisor to the president, which is
a reasonable thing that every president has had.
Yeah. So I guess
Dick
my
Morris was a special advisor to Bill Clinton.
So, but I guess my question is the nepotism issue with having your child, or and like I say, I know it's not unprecedented. I mean, I know like Kennedy had appointed his brother, but it does. I think what disturbs me is if you're not technically a government employee and you're not taking the salary, and what you're saying is, I'm going to voluntarily comply with the ethics necessary to do what I do. Does that mean that at some point you can say, what you're asking is stupid. I don't want to comply to that because you're not technically a government employee anyway.
Yeah, you're not the boss.
But you're given security clearance.
Wait a second. You're making a huge leap in logic.
No. This is exactly
No. Hear me out. In this sense,
yeah.
security clearance means many different things.
There are many levels of a security
That's
clearance.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Just to say security clearance, you're acting like she's getting the nuclear codes and she can set off a war if she wants to.
Well, no, I don't believe that.
What I'm saying is she's probably getting the very minimum level of security clearance to be able to get in and out of the White House without having to be frisked every time and do all that crap. She's not going to do anything super special. Well,
Just saying.
I think her dad will frisk her. That's the problem.
That's a little bit alarming. Okay,
Now,
that's a good one.
Now, let me ask you this. So, Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, Gore Bush, did they all have security clearances?
Everyone.
Well, the first lady, yeah. The first lady always does.
And Freddie King.
When you had Hillary, how much involved was Hillary with Hillary?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure she was massively involved.
Massively involved. So you have to.
But the first lady has a role in the government.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have an official role.
Well,
She drafted the healthcare bill that failed.
yeah, true.
And
True.
she had no official government role other than she was spearheaded that movement. That was it. She had no title. She had no anything. Her first real government job was when she became the senator from New York. That was it. So he just put her in charge of it.
A few brains sticking around.
And that was all. So that's
And it could be that I've watched way too many episodes of House of Cards.
Well, have you been watching Madam Secretary too? Now I'm starting to worry about you.
No, I have not been watching
good,
that series.
good.
But House of Cards is really good. You should watch it on Netflix.
While we're on the subject of Jason Kushner, Jarrod Kushner is actually
Yes,
his name.
actually.
Jarrod Kushner, I allegedly had meetings with a a huge bank in Russia,
Right.
that was under sanction
Correct.
since the invasion of Crimea, right?
Yes, and there's a belief, if not certainty, that a lot of Trump's loans came from this bank in Russia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which it could be a huge... I've said the entire time, I think Trump will be impeached because of these relations with Russia that will eventually come out and prove that what he did was completely not only unethical but treasonous. And I do believe that he will be impeached. I have never wavered from that fact.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. You said that from the get-go. I don't necessarily agree with you.
Yeah, I think some people
you
don't think
you are staying true to your form.
Some people don't think he'll last a year. I think he'll make it a year and get impeached. Because I think unlike the Clintons that knew the political process backwards and forwards, and could avoid the fire, even through thickening smoke. He doesn't know the political process. So
first off, there's proof that the Clintons met with the Russians too.
So. And I'm not saying that they didn't.
I guess the uranium. Let's not get away from that fact.
And the uranium sale was a big deal.
That happened.
But it was quasi-legal and it passed muster to a degree. What I would say is you are going to need to make a Trump affiliate flip in order for this to happen, because the wiretaps as they stand now, regardless if he is wiretapped or not, they're not legal, because the law reads that once you know an American is, especially an American diplomat or politician or anything like that, is talking with a Russian official, you have to immediately cease recording. And what the Trump campaign does have on their site is a bunch of illegal transcribed conversations that should never have been legally recorded in the first place. And I think you could make a very good case if you're the Trump administration that those are illegal and would never be admissible evidence. So you need somebody to flip on them at some point and go, okay, here's what really happened.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's going to happen.
But why do you think he'll become, in your opinion, let's say he became impeached, don't you think it's still...
Impeachment is not being
it's
kicked
still,
out of
it's,
office.
it's,
It's
it's
just
still
impeachment. It means you're brought
a
up for
group
trial.
of people that will always be doing everything they can to tear him down, to get him impeached.
Well,
they will be looking at everything, single thing possible to get him impeached.
But that's what every
Even
party
if he
does.
was doing good things, they would continue to try to get him impeached.
Well, good things is always a matter of opinion, and good things.
I have a little bit of a problem with that.
You had people
can understand,
wanted to impeach Obama, but there was nothing to drag him through impeachment on. That's the problem.
They tried to. Don't tell me there weren't groups looking for anything and everything.
And everything.
Charge against
But they
him.
didn't have the force of the media behind it.
Well, and don't forget Bill Clinton.
But honestly, I think that's Trump's fault too. I think. Okay, so you can't have it both ways. You can't say that that legitimate media sources are fake news, and you can't kick people out of the. Well, I'm just saying. The adversarial relationship that he has with the media is partially his fault.
It's only adversarial with networks that don't like him. It's great to have networks that like him.
I guess that's what I'm saying. But with other presidents, they didn't try to kick them out of the press briefings.
That is not
what they did do was not.
Don't forget Obama did that too.
They skirted the question.
No, they didn't call on reporters from sources
but it's a big difference between Mr. President, and you just never call on them. And no, not you, stop, shut up, not you. And because of the way he's behaved, I think the media has really gone after him in a way that they may have backed down some. I won't say they would back down.
I disagree.
I won't say they were going to back down all the way.
They were never going to back down.
The media has doubled down their efforts to find something, and I'm okay with that because I think he's a dirtbag. I think he lied and cheated his way into office.
I think he's a con man.
I think he's a horrible president, and I think he is going to drive this country into the ground or possibly start a war, which I do not want.
Either way.
Because I still maybe have draftable age. I hope not, but it would be fun to serve in the army.
See, I disagree with that.
But,
I think that's an extreme view.
But what I would say is, every president, and I'll give him credit. He's actually called on. Sean Spicer only calls on friendly people. President what's the fuck his face, Trump, has actually called on some reasonably difficult reporters and got into arguments with them. And do I like the way he handled the arguments? No, because I thought they were unpresidential.
Yeah.
But
okay, I get it.
But he's not going to be presidential because that's not who he is.
No, he's a
I don't expect Trump to
be
be presidential anymore. I'm not after Trump to be presidential. I'm after Trump to be able to try to state himself to where this is what I believe and this is what I'm after. I think you got to admit Spicer's press conferences are a hoot.
But you got it.
They're a hoot, man. They're worth listening to.
They're hilarious, but at the same time,
They're sad.
Exactly.
You
They're
gotta
hilarious,
feel so
but it's
bad
like
for the dude.
watching him literally argue with the press for the entire press conference is it's just
He's good at it.
It is demeaning to the president.
It's horrible. And I mean, the best one of all time was the one where he, for 30 minutes, defended the fact that they were going to press the travel ban and everything.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely, we are going to petition this to the Supreme Court. And then an aide hands him a note, which he just reads, that says, we are withdrawing the travel ban and we will rewrite the law and reapply it. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Christ.
Wow, he's tripling down.
You
on
don't do that
the
to your press secretary in
No.
the middle of a fucking speech. You don't do that to him. Like,
I'm
it's
kind of
so
surprised
dumb.
Spicer hasn't resigned yet. To tell you the truth,
I am too,
I wouldn't want the aggravation.
I think he loves it.
I wouldn't want the aggravation.
No, I think he loves it. I think the dude's totally into it.
I think he feels like an idiot most days and gets no information and is handed stupid fucking notes on a note card that says everything you just said for the last 30 minutes you decided to retract, and you're going to be the one who takes the blame for looking like an idiot.
Well, he's done a good job of it.
Is Sean Spicer married?
I don't know.
If
That's
he
a good
is,
question.
he has to like go home to his wife and be like, you know what shit they tried to do to me today? Can you believe this? You know?
They're like, I was up there, I said this, and then he hands me a goddamn note.
I mean, imagine this. Imagine having drinks with your buddies and just going, my God, that guy fucked me over so bad today.
So bad.
He looked so dumb today. Like, how long can I keep doing this?
The discrepancy. Like, oh man, hey, get him a drink now.
Right.
On me.
That dude needs a double and on the double.
Okay, so I got another question about, is not necessarily nepotism, but so what do we think about Kellyanne and her husband both work for the administration as well?
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, at this
They have no
point.
problem with that. He's qualified.
Is he?
Yeah.
Look him up. I don't know much
I
about
think
him.
he's qualified.
I think he's qualified too.
Qualifies everybody else in government nowadays.
I also believe she is very qualified, and I think she's getting a bad rap for things that they're putting her out there to try to spin.
Yes.
Because of her media background.
I mean, I will give her one thing. I don't like her. I don't like her face. I wish she would shut up and go away. But she's goddamn good at what she does.
And she was a woman
She
manager of a campaign.
She can spin. She
no
can
credit.
spin
Should
anything.
have lost.
She can spin anything.
She
I'll put that. She can deflect anything.
Let me give you this.
I put it like that.
I would say this. I think a lot of her quotes get taken out of context, and we've talked about this before. So, for example, when they said, "Oh, she was promoting Ivanka's merchandise on a television show. That wasn't remotely...
I mean, it was an offhanded comment. And
No, it wasn't remotely the context of the conversation.
no, it
The
wasn't. That's what I'm
context-
saying. It was
the context
just...
of the conversation was that stores were banning her line just because she was President Trump's daughter, and she said we should all go out and buy her stuff because these stores are banning her for political reasons. That was it. She wasn't doing some infomercial. She's not Lori Greiner from Shark Tank.
No,
Doing
absolutely not.
something on
Absolutely
QVC.
not. And I get that. I get it.
And I think it was insanely unfair the way they treated her.
I mean, I don't necessarily...
Fox was maybe
The sitting on the
dumbest
couch
for
thing.
that.
I don't necessarily...
Give me a break. She sat on the couch with her legs. Well, so effing what?
Do you know how many pictures they had of Obama kicking
I
back
agree.
on the couch with his legs
Putting his
up on
feet
the
up on the
table?
desk and everything.
Everybody
He's a
did.
very casual man. He would relax himself.
And this is one reason I love Obama. Like, he was just a dude.
Just a
He
dude.
was just a
So
dude.
he was out playing golf in shorts. Really? Come
Yeah,
on.
like, so what?
I slip out and play golf all I can.
Bitch.
George
As long as I do my
Conway
job.
got his bachelor's at Harvard, and he's got a Juris Doctorate from Yale.
Yeah.
I'd say he's probably not a dumbass.
He's not dumb.
No, okay. All right.
He's pretty qualified.
I give you the not a dumbass. I give you that.
And he
Because I'm getting a little too used to the dumbass appointments.
Yeah.
That so when you get one that when you get one that's not a dumbass, you're like, oh, okay, so he's not a dumbass.
You're
All right.
surprised, and you have to actually call it up on the Googles to make sure that it's right. You go, God, you're not dumb.
You're not a dumbass. All right.
You picked one.
All right. So that brings us to
the main topic.
This is a big one.
the
It's a big
American
one.
the
This is-
American Health Care Act
Oh, I
has
thought you
been
were gonna say-
put on indefinite hold.
Okay, well, yeah, this is big too.
Yeah. Well, and we've got one more, of course.
I think the next one is the biggest one.
It's
of all.
probably the biggest one of all.
Yep.
But before we get to the biggie, the American Health Care Act being put on hold. So I was, oh God, I think it was either the Daily Show or
Good source of news.
yeah, well, it's a good source of comedy. I don't know if it's a good source of news. It was either the Daily
Hey,
Show.
they did their homework.
It's where
Yeah.
more millenniums get their news than anywhere else.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Which is alarming.
Yeah, which is actually very alarming. I can't remember if it was him or if it was Bill Maher, one of the two. But the joke was that, basically, the Republicans made this sandwich. They tried to make it as appealing as possible, but the main ingredient instead of meat was turd. And they tried to get the rest of the Republican Party to eat this shit sandwich. And then they said, hell no, we're not eating it.
Now, let's
Yes.
think about this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is not a bad thing.
I don't think it is. I don't
It's
think it's a
actually
bad
a
thing.
very good thing, okay? Because what really needs to happen in this is that the government has to start to realize that if we're going to have a government-run plan, that it has to work for the people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Obamacare is not working for the people. It's not.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think there are parts of
and-
it
and
that
in my
are, but
business-
there are definitely parts that
in my
need to be
business, just
fixed.
I'll take a little personal deal here recently. My wife has severe arthritis in her knees. Okay, so we've been with Humana.
Mm-hmm.
I give Humana through my business. All right, so I give Humana business because I sign people up.
Right.
Okay, well, my employees and myself and my spouse and some of their spouses. So we get all this done. Now Humana is one of these insurance companies that bought into us along with United Healthcare, and they lost a hell of a lot of money. So now Humana has hired a independent third-party agency so that every time you need a drug, the doctor prescribes her Celebrex in this case, which is the top drug to be able to help counteract her inflammation due to arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this third party now comes through and says, well, we don't think you need Celebrex. We think you need this generic over here. All right? when she went for shots in her knees to give the gel injection.
Right.
It took them, including the doctor and his staff, over 3 months to be able to get these shots approved, and what they got approved was the lesser treatment, not the good treatment. Didn't do jack shit.
Okay.
All right. So this is what's happened with Obamacare. If I did not get insurance through my business, and Michelle and I had to pick up insurance by ourselves in the state of Missouri, we have one carrier, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
On Obamacare,
Obamacare.
There's multiple choices in the state of Missouri.
But if we didn't want to go with Obamacare, we had one carrier.
Sure.
All right, so this has failed in a lot of ways. So what they really need to do, in my opinion, is to be able to start reaching across the aisle to the Democrats. They need to go find out what the Freedom Caucus wants and be able to go back to their constituents and come up with a plan that works for the American people.
There's way too many problems.
Well, the problem with what the Freedom Caucus wants,
it's very complicated.
The Freedom Caucus doesn't want. They don't want any of it.
They want a free market.
They want a completely free market. They don't want pre-existing conditions.
Not exactly true. What they didn't want was an expansion of Medicaid, to be perfectly honest. So they said any expansion of Medicaid, which this bill would have done,
right,
they were not in favor of.
Okay.
So that's not entirely accurate. They just did not want an expansion of Medicaid because Medicaid goes to the states as a block grant.
Right.
And so you have to make do with what you get. It's the same as education. You get a block grant, you make do with what you get. So I would say I do not think Obamacare has been a failure. I've already outlined the 3 things that I thought were a failure about it.
Yeah.
And I wish they would just address those things. And they could have done it in one foul swoop and it would have been done. Obamacare is not bad.
It's flawed, but it's not bad.
What the flaws
to me,
the flaws though are exceptionally fixable.
Hey, what's going on, podcasters? Let's acknowledge the good friends of the Loft Party Podcast. The majestic restaurant and Pendergast Club, carrying on Kansas City's tradition of great food and great jazz, 931 Broadway in Kansas City, Missouri. The J. Rieger Kansas City Distillery, whiskey, gin, vodka. That is, oh so good. And friend of the podcast and panelist, Lane Boland, managing to keep the podcast going. Apparently wealthy or not. Now onto our regularly scheduled program.
Again, interstate commerce, which is a huge one.
Yeah.
Make sure that all pre-existing conditions are still allowed under whatever policy that you go on, no matter what.
26-year-old.
And curb tort reform. That's it. If you just got the lawyers out of the mix and curb punitive damages, then you would be fine. Then that is a healthcare that everybody could live with, because the insurance companies wanted it, because they thought everybody's going to have to sign up now, we're going to get a lot more money. What they found was that the people that were signing up all of a sudden were super fucked up and like, shit, this is costing us a lot of money.
Right.
But if you can offset that by selling across state lines and going, okay,
absolutely,
I'll sell in a healthier state and I will make my business
been a
more
huge
efficient.
proponent of that.
And again, Medicaid does not pay out what they are supposed to.
Right.
Medicaid pays out 26 cents on the dollar on average. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. This is why we have $20 aspirins when you're in the hospital. You know, it's nonsense. And the tort reform makes you go through rounds and rounds and rounds of examinations. And again, I'm not one for personal stories, but since you do
I have more in that aspect.
my brother tore his ACL in Mexico, paid $2,000, had the surgery. Guy fixed it, American doctor, who was just down there on vacation, and went back and said, went to a Mexican hospital, maybe we should get this checked out.
Right.
They ran up a plus $30,000 bill on him to go to specialists who said exactly what the Mexican doctor said. He's like, yeah, your surgery looks really good, just stay off your feet for a little while. And that was all they said. It's same
but
thing
one of the problems
Mexican
too
doctors $2,000 in cash.
is the regulation that the doctors are under, because for every doctor, it takes 25 to 35 administrators to get through the red tape and all the BS.
Well, that part's true. Very true.
You have things that have to change, and they have to really sit down and have a real consensus. And in my opinion, it takes both parties.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right.
Trump is really has now reached out and said, I want to go talk to the Democrats, take Obamacare, whatever you guys, we got to find a way to make this work.
Yeah.
And I think Trump would do a good job at this.
You and I
this
talked
is,
a
this is
million
one of the
times.
things that he has a skill in.
This is the Bob Dole, Tip O'Neill moment where you need to get together and just force something to happen. You know, the problem was they knew that they would never get the 60 votes in the Senate. It never would have happened. That's what it required.
Which is why they pulled it from a vote in the first place.
The House Republicans.
Yeah, they knew they weren't going to get it.
The House
they pulled
Republicans.
it.
So that was really a smart thing that they pulled it.
No, I think
They did the right thing in pulling it.
Giant mistake.
No,
Why do you think? Why do you think?
Because I think in this sense you could have forced a vote. Because if you were elected on the basis of repeal and replace Obamacare, which they say over and over and over again, you could have forced the hand of people that did not want to do that. So you would have made them go on record and say, okay, I'm voting for Obamacare, I'm voting not for Obamacare. Listen, I did not like the bill that it was written, but what you do, what you do a million times in Congress is you make up a shitty bill and just force people to take a stand one way or the other. So
they
that
did
they're
with
on
Obamacare.
Yes, they did.
Well, see,
They forced them to make a stand. That's exactly what they did.
Absolutely. You had to vote for it.
But it got partisan. It was boom, boom.
Well,
what
I
happened
think
was-
the reason it got partisan was very different than the reason it's partisan now. Okay, so it was they took 13 months to craft even what Obamacare is now, and it's not perfect, but so in 60 days they tried to draft something because they didn't start right. They've been trying to repeal it for 7 years.
7 years to come up with a plan.
But they didn't start even trying to write it till he got elected.
And more than that, what people forget it was Justice Roberts, a Republican nominee, who was now the Chief Justice of the United States, but was appointed under Bush, who said, actually, it's perfectly legal because it's a tax. And this is what you want your Supreme Court nominees to do, is to be impartial and fair, which kind of leads into your next question, because it's interesting to me. Because Supreme Court nominees are known for being wildly unpredictable.
Yes.
And you have no idea what the hell they're going to do. And one of my favorite things that Gorsuch did when he was being questioned by Dianne Feinstein was he had this reputation for always voting for large corporations over the little people. And she said, this is your knowledge. And he said, no, I can give you 16 cases, I believe was the number, where I voted for the little person of the company and put into place the law. She goes, well, okay, I'll give you a day to write them up and give us a list. She goes, no, I'll just tell them to you right now. And he rattled off the list off the top of his head just about the cases where he said, no, these cases were wrong. And these are the cases where I voted for the person for this reason. And I thought it was a pretty powerful moment for a guy who I think will turn out to be a very, very, very strict constitutionalist. Who will vote not on party lines. He will vote on what the merit of the law is. And I like that. And that's one reason I respect Judge Roberts quite a bit. While I disagreed with Obamacare being passed into law, the way that it was written was correct. And he had no other choice other than to say it was passed as a tax. Because if you look at the way it's written, it is a tax penalty that you get as opposed to anything else. He was right.
By the IRS.
He was right by the way that it was written.
But the way that the law was actually
I
written.
respect him 1,000,000,000% for that, and that must have been hard as shit for him to do.
So before we go to the next point, any other points on the American Health
Real
Care?
quick on this.
Yeah.
The main thing that I really think that the representatives and senators need to do is they need to really start going out and talking to doctors. They need to really go out and take their time. This doesn't have to happen next month. It can happen next year. Take your time to go out and get a real consensus. Get the people together. If Trump has done one thing well, he brings people into his office. He had a bunch of small business women owners in his office today. He brings people in and talks to them. All right?
True.
Because he doesn't know all these things. He had a bunch of women CEOs from health companies in not too long ago. So he'll work with women, he'll work with men, he'll work with anybody to get the information that he needs to get. But this is where they need to go. They need to go out there and say, what are the real solutions to the problems? What do we have to do to make this work? It's such a huge, complicated thing. It's so much. 19% of our economy?
Yeah.
Is how, and we can find a way to make this work into a capitalist system with having the social programs that are necessary to take care of the people that need to be taken care of. I've always believed this, but they need to really honestly go out and find a way that it's actually going to work for the people that have to implement it.
What are you thinking, Ben? I see your brain turning over there.
No, it's nothing actually. I'm good on this.
Okay.
I don't feel educated enough about this subject to be able to offer input.
All right. That's fair. That's fair.
The only other thing I will say, and you've heard me say this before, is that we should have a single payer tax system that handles all people. But if you are of industrial sense and you work for your living and you want to buy better health care as a supplement to that system,
yes. Yeah. Now,
I have trouble seeing how that wouldn't work.
Now, to me, that's how the system is probably best set up.
That's a common sense system.
If you set up the system where here is a blanket that will work for
the general
population. But if you have the money and want to buy a more robust insurance plan, knock yourself out.
And you get the benefits from that plan,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
better care, more private service.
Look, just as we started off talking about David Rockefeller, money can buy you some hell of a health care.
And there's nothing wrong with that. America is built on that premise. If you have the means, then and you've worked hard for it, well then you have every right to go do that. You don't have to be the same as the person who doesn't have those means or necessarily even aspires to have those means.
I do think the sad part is Obamacare failed to help the people that it was supposed to help. It is too expensive for people who cannot afford it, and they don't get the quality of care, and that's where I think the failure was.
Yeah.
And I think you could fix that failure very, very, very easily.
I found the tax
three things I did.
very disturbing because so many of my workers ended up paying the tax and they still want to get health care. There was nothing there.
The plans are horrific.
It was at that part, in my opinion, was the mandate was a total failure, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think when they were drafting it, I don't think the assumption was that the insurance companies would draft special plans that they would give to the exchangers. I think they thought they would use the plans that were on the books.
I can't believe that they would be that stupid because they actually engaged quite a bit the insurance company.
No, they did.
They were after a single
what I
payer
would
system.
say is,
they wanted to fail. I do believe
if
that.
you know insurance companies, they do everything based on risk. So this is why actuarials exist. And once you increase your risk, because they did not allow interstate commerce to mitigate the risk, and they did not allow tort reform to mitigate the risk, because both of those are two enormous democratic philosophies. All of a sudden, if you're going to take on somebody who has diabetes and all this other shit and people who are at risk and all this other stuff, you have to be able to mitigate your risk as an insurance company. This is how they live. So
which is
was
why I am
pure stupidity.
Which is why I am a massive fan of single payer. I really think that, like you say, it may not be the best plan for David Rockefeller, but if you've got a single payer plan that can do what it needs to do for the general population.
It's worked out great in Canada because they'll come to the U.S. to get their health care.
Well, and which is exactly what I'm saying, though. I think for the average person, for the average illness, Canada's plan is fine. But for those who are like, shit, I need more, they do wind up coming down here.
But they come here because we're a country of innovation who leads the world truly in medical technology, medical advancement, and better services, better care, everything else. You go to a single payer system, all that goes away.
Yeah, all that goes away.
You're taking away everything that's good about our current plan and saying, okay, people are still going to do that. I'm like, it's not going to happen. It will not happen. We will just become another European society where healthcare is shit. You wait months to see a doctor, if you can get to see a doctor at all.
No, your basic health care is taken care of, but your major health care.
Well, and I think that's what I mean.
Well, in America we already have it. We already have the minute clinics, Walgreens, CVS, freaking Walmart. Everybody else has all that stuff in place. If you have a cold, go there. Everybody already knows that. So it's when you go to the hospital for major care that you really need, which is what Obamacare was supposed to address,
right?
It ended up being a massive failure because the people who it was supposed to protect and who needed the insurance in case of catastrophic illness, and let's be honest, there are different ethnicities and different groups and different types of people who have major health concerns beyond what is disproportionate to the rest of the society.
Yeah.
So I would say African American men suffer from heart disease far more than the rest of the population does on a disproportionate level. That is a catastrophic illness. And you're taking that group and saying you need to pay a shit ton of money for insurance that you can't afford. And when it comes time to collect on that insurance, it's expensive as hell.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Every single ethnicity group has a weird anomaly that is particular to them. And so it's hard. You have to balance all these things out. But I will say I think it disadvantaged the people who needed it the most.
My foreman, who do well, I pay my foreman. They make between $50,000 and $60,000 a year. Okay, which is nice middle class income. It's not upper middle class, just middle class.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's hard struggling to stay middle class.
Yeah.
Under Obamacare, their deductibles became higher than the $6,000 out of pocket that I was offering for my insurance. Where the younger employees were basically being given that supplement by those higher incomes. So it could have took care of my younger employees,
right?
But it screwed the shit out of the people that really
they needed though.
But we already
and also they're getting older. These guys, they're foremen. They're 40, 50, even 60 years old.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you're looking at their deductibles, and it's insane.
But we have stuff in place that actually...
It's not even a catastrophic plan anymore. It's just insane.
If you took advantage of the stuff that's already in place, like HSA programs and things like that, then you'd be an ideal candidate for an HSA.
Okay.
You get to put away money tax-free, and you get to use it when you need it. And if you don't use it, it rolls
HSAs.
over. They're amazing.
I want HSAs.
I think you get up to $6,000 a year or something like that.
You realize under Obamacare, if I set up an HSA for my employee, I was going to be fined.
Mm-hmm.
That was in Obamacare.
Sure.
I could not set up an HSA.
They
did not.
Because you're a small business?
That's a fact.
Is it because you're a small business? Because we have an HSA
because-
and they're not
because
small.
Yeah, I think it is because we can't have one
It's
either.
the number
Under
of
50
employees.
I'm sorry.
Number of employees.
Under 50 employees.
That makes sense, I guess.
So they.
So let me ask you, because Ben is clearly I think the youngest person here who would have more, because I'm interested in your generation's experience on this. One, I don't even know if you have health insurance, and if you do,
I don't.
see this.
I specifically chose not to because it is so much cheaper for me to just take the hit.
It's my biggest fear in the world for guys like you. That and this is what Obamacare was supposed to fix, and it didn't
fix it.
And the penalty was so low that it's better to pay the penalty than to actually pay the insurance.
Absolutely,
And
by
so-
far.
Unless something happens.
Yeah.
And my biggest fear on earth is that something catastrophic were to happen to you, which would bankrupt you.
Me too.
And so you're making people take a
huge
gamble
risk.
that is unnecessary.
Yep.
Whereas if you made just affordable insurance, then all of a sudden it would be well worth your time.
Oh yeah.
And again, I also am a true believer. Last thing I will ever say on this, there are affordable insurance policies out there that are private insurance policies. It is, at some point, and I've said this before, I know a lot of 20-year-olds who manage to pick up all kinds of bar tabs, but don't want to pay for their insurance.
Yeah.
You know, they have cable, they can fly around, they want to go on vacations, they want to do all kinds of shit, they just don't want to pay for insurance. And so I'm like, well, at some point it's a trade-off, it's a personal choice, and
I completely agree.
your choice is your choice. I mean,
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want with it, but don't tell me that insurance is unaffordable when you're picking up a bar tab every weekend, and one weekend's bar tab would pay for your entire month's insurance.
I would love to be able to pay 75% of all my employees' insurance. That'd be the best benefit I could give them.
Yeah.
But they got to make it affordable enough where it doesn't bankrupt me as a company
We paid
to
100%.
be able to do it.
We paid 100% of everybody's health insurance, period. And there is a law out there that says
In my business, the margins aren't there to do it.
what I would say is if you looked into some of the laws, there's a law out there that says if you pay 100% of all the medical expenses for your employees, they all become tax deductible. So you can't just pay the premiums, you also have to pay if somebody breaks their leg, if they have a baby, you got to do all that. But we did, and it actually saved us a shit ton of money because we had a very young workforce. Now your workforce might be different because they
My
might be a
workforce is
little
much
older.
older
I
workforce
was going
now.
to say they might be a little older, and so that would become pretty expensive to do.
I have two
But-
foremen in their 60s. I have most of my foremen in their 50s.
But you have 2 months at the start of every year to declare.
Those rates are insane. I mean, Michelle and I pay $1,500 a month for
Well, let's say you
our
did this.
insurance with $6,000 out of pocket apiece.
What I would say,
That's what my
and I'm not your financial advisor, so what I would say is, if you looked into it and said, okay, I'm going to cover all the premiums, and I'm going to go to nothing but catastrophic insurance, and we'll do that. And if somebody gets into a problem, then we will try to pick that up. That is a very legal and tax deductible scheme that might be able to save you some money.
We're literally waiting until next year to see. I stayed with the existing plan that I had, and we're waiting till next year to kind of see what's wrong. I mean, we're on a year-to-year basis right now on what things are. I got a friend of mine that's a flat worker, and he offers 75%, and he's maintained a good workforce because of it.
The only problem with that is that the employees have to declare the other 25% as income to them, and that they have to pay taxes on that, which sucks.
I will also say this: if I'm going to pay that much of their insurance, I'm also not going to give them as high as a wage. There's a balance in there, and that's
the flip side.
and that's tough for them to understand sometimes.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the flip side of the argument. Is the more
balance
that you
still
pay
has to
out
be
as a
there.
company.
When it comes down to your bottom line and what your net profit is,
Right.
and what your business should make for what you're putting into
You're
it.
absolutely right. And everybody can live with a certain amount of labor percentage, but you live within the labor percentage. And
Right.
that's
And
what
and
happens.
that's what it is. All right, so
Mario, on to the next one.
all right, so last but not least, the thing that could affect us for more years to come than not, the Supreme Court. So, if I am not mistaken, the Gorsuch vote has been put off for another week. The Democrats want to look further into Gorsuch, but it seems as if I haven't seen anything that's going to stop Gorsuch from.
He's going to be nominated
from getting the nomination. Now, I will say that yes, I still do believe that, and I know a lot of the Democrats are at this point going on principle that Obama's nominee was never brought up for his hearings.
Should never have had to been.
Yeah, but with things being what they are, Gorsuch is the nominee that is in front of them, and from what I can tell, following the hearings, I haven't heard anything that's going to keep him from being nominated.
That makes sense right there. And I again go back to the Constitution that says that Congress has the right to advise and consent, and that is all. They can say we like him, we don't like him, think about these things, but they don't truly, honestly, it's a fairly recent thing where they have approval power over this, whereas prior to that, it was a presidential appointee who was just put into office. Advise and consent is the language in the Constitution, and while the presidents, starting under Theodore Roosevelt in particular, have massively expanded presidential power to do all kinds of stuff that they're not legally supposed to be able to do. Right. The Congress has done their fair share of trying to reclaim power and say, actually, we get to approve your nomination, and that's not actually true either. They only get to advise and consent on a nomination. And so it's an interesting thing, especially as a Republican. I know you were too. And I guess I'm probably far more independent than not, but...
more independent than you think I am.
I know you are. And you've come down on many sides of different coins on issues, but this is one where I have a really hard time with. I thought it was completely wrong that the Republicans didn't need the whole Congress or sessions on it. Obama, if he was smart, said, okay, you've advised and consented and said nothing. So I'm just going to appoint him anyway, so screw off. And he would have won the case at the Supreme Court. And that would have been fine. It may have taken a little while, but they have no right to appoint the nominee and approve them. We don't need their approval. Honestly, they're just there to give advice.
Yeah, I wonder why he didn't do that.
He was trying not to.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There was the way that it had been done for several years prior, and that since probably Theodore Roosevelt, things have kind of gone. And I also think if you assert that sort of power, the other side is going to take something back from you. Okay. So these executive orders that get nominated all the time and get approved, they're just a joke. I mean, they're a joke. The president really doesn't have the authority to issue these executive orders that become law for no reason during the time that they're president.
And they can be wiped out by the next guy in 2 seconds.
And they are. I mean,
often they are.
All of Obama's executive orders almost.
My point about Gorsuch is, let's reverse the rules.
Okay.
Obama's going to be the next president.
Okay.
Trump's the president, when Obama was president. And Trump knows he's out, and he puts Gorsuch in, and it's a Democratic-controlled Senate and House. Don't think the same thing's going to happen? You think they're going to vote Gorsuch in? No, they're going to wait for Obama to pit their guy in because they want the thing. The same exact thing would have happened if you reverse the rules.
I don't disagree with that. What I am saying
that's the true bottom line of everything.
I don't disagree.
Constitutionality, all the stuff. they are not going to approve Merrick
It's not their
when they have a
legal
chance to
role.
get their thing in. It's become so political.
They don't actually have the
politicalized
right
with the
to
Supreme
approve.
Court. It's very politicalized.
They don't have the right to approve. They have the right to consent and advise.
Exactly.
That is it.
And that's
So
all they can do.
At one point, a president is going to challenge this. And people forget FDR tried to stack the Supreme Court and make it 13 justices so he could get everything he wanted passed. And that was denied. So, because Congress doesn't have the right to do that, and then neither does the president.
Merrick was kind of interesting. He's not a Ginsburg. He's not a Sotomayor.
No, he wasn't really.
He was kind of a middle of the road guy.
Yeah, which is
But
why
Obama was real smart to try to throw that in there.
Which is why I really, think that a lot of the Democrats are kind of holding that grudge.
It's a little grudge.
It's because
They're pissed.
it wasn't a liberal judge.
No,
He was,
they were pissed. That's all.
and yeah, I mean, and I actually do understand why they're pissed, but I guess
they're pissing in the wind. Is
I
what
guess
they
to-
are.
I thought
That's the
Obama-
only piss they have is they're pissing in the wind because it ain't going to happen.
I thought Obama did a very good job of picking a candidate that would have been acceptable to everybody and had previously been acceptable to everybody, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, is not acceptable
It was
to
because
anybody.
he chose him.
If Trump had picked Merrick, I think he
get
would have
the
got
reason.
approved.
Yeah.
What I would say is,
I agree.
if you look at the history of nominees, they do not vote the way you think they're going to. Again,
Roberts, perfect example.
I was just going to say, Roberts is maybe the most recent classic example of passing Obamacare and putting it in a law, finding the loophole that it was a tax.
Yeah, and defending it.
And his philosophy has always been, and I like him for this, he's a strict constitutionalist.
He voted what the law said.
It did.
And then I think Gorsuch is a similar individual.
I would agree.
I do really believe that he will be a good
I think
Supreme
so.
Court justice.
I think so.
And I think that none of us, besides the fact of the aisle we're on, can argue that.
Yeah,
I
no,
think the man
I
is a
don't think so.
legitimate constitutionalist. And I think I haven't watched proceedings in the committees to where a man handled himself as well as he did. He handled himself with some humor. He handled himself with facts. He also stood up for himself when Franklin was going after him left and right, which is the wrong guy to go after him.
Yeah, that was
Well,
Frank wasn't
the Diane Feinstein one, I think, was the best example.
Feinstein, I think
Well,
she
she said-
overstepped her a little bit.
She said, "Why don't you take a day to, come up with a list of cases that you think work?"
And I've been surprised by her, because
I was impressed
I
with
always
that.
held Diane Feinstein as a little bit more, kind of like Claire McCaskill. I don't think Claire McCaskill's just a party gal. She's going to kind of vote her clutches sometimes.
I love Claire McCaskill. Like, she bailed my wife out of a major jam one time. I'll vote for her every
Yeah,
time.
so,
she's
and I always kind of thought Diane Feinstein, why she's a party gal, she always seemed to me to kind of, go which way it should go sometimes. And I thought she kind of put her tit in the ringer on that a little bit, because I didn't think she had anything to stand on. And he blew her away.
That's one way to say it, but
He did. He blew her away.
I thought he clearly won that discussion.
Yep.
And I was blown away that
Well,
she even brought it up.
You're not supposed to use tit in the ringer's term.
I just thought I think it's a funny as shit term, and this is one reason I love
I'm sorry,
Dad.
anonymous female. That was a misogynistic comment.
But that was one of the single worst questions that was asked, and I think she got her ass handed to her big time.
Of course, a bit of male always said he put his balls on a nail, so
Sure.
it's equal opportunity abuse.
But in terms of just modern American politics, when we're going through these nominations, the fact that she didn't think he could rattle off the cases, and he said, "I don't need a day. I'll tell you right now. These are the cases." I thought was pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was a great exchange.
And
I don't care where you from.
That gives me a lot of hope, honestly, that he would be fair, impartial,
Well, I think he will be.
constitutional, And that's all that you want people to do. I mean, I can tell you I don't want another warm court. That's just an activist court. And, then nobody wins for that. So, I don't know. I think you have to be able to study the rules of law, say this is legal and this is not legal. Not, I want this to be legal, and I'm going to bend the rules of the law to make it legal.
Like I said, I thought Trump's team made a good choice there. I thought it was a fair choice.
Yeah, that may be the first
thing he's done really good.
Yeah, that I really kind of can go, okay.
There's only semi-win.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, his win percentage is kind of low right now.
It's a little low.
but I will give him Gorsuch.
But realize too, we
reading up on him, he seems exceptionally qualified.
Yeah.
And like a pretty fair individual. He doesn't look like he's going to make any political activist sort of decisions while serving on the Supreme Court. He's going to make constitutional decisions.
Yeah. I don't think he has an agenda. I just don't think he has an agenda.
But still remember, Trump's only been in office for 2 months. I mean, everybody likes to bag on Trump a little bit. But I still think that he has, was it Schumer that said, if he learns to reach across the different aisles, I think it was Schumer that said it. If he learns to cross different aisles and learns how to reach out and learns how to work people and make the deals, much like old Tip a Deal used to be able to do back in the day, old Bobby Dole. Much as we bang on them back in the day, they really made deals.
This is when Pence.
Then he has the chance to be he did say great by his strength, but he has a chance to be a good president.
This is where Pence is supposed to come into play because he has the experience to go across party lines in theory and make those deals happen. And
my hope is that this can still happen.
I think we're never going to see this again in the United States. I think it's going to. The only thing that would change my mind about this ever becoming a reality again would be a world war. That we could all unite around and go, okay, we have to do something together and get back to what we used to do. Because right now, everybody just wants to block the other side, period.
I agree.
Because they want to win.
I hate that. I absolutely hate that.
Republicans did it for almost 8 years. And
Democrats do it, they're the same.
And now we're seeing the same thing on the Democratic side.
Nothing has changed.
I understand why they're doing it, but,
it's not getting it done.
And again, you know me, I don't want anything to get done, so I don't mind this at all. I love this. This is great by me, so I hope nothing gets done, but you do want the good things to get done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just a matter of finding the good things.
Yeah. The bottom line, I think, that bothers me the most is I don't want to see our country get away from what we are. I don't want to see it get to the point where we lose track of what America is and how truly incredible this country is and how truly incredible our opportunities are here for all people.
I'll be honest, I don't even know what that means. I mean, I think you're seeing, I don't know what's so exceptional about America. Like, I love this country. I think it's a great country.
Me too.
I don't know what's so
You've traveled
exceptional.
overseas, I've traveled overseas,
Sure.
Ben's been overseas. When you go overseas, this country gives a whole new meaning. It really does. You see the good things that are overseas. There are better things than us overseas because we have our warts. But overall, what we have here in our ability is amazing. It really is.
It's not that it's bad. It's just that we're ignoring the good that other countries do, and I don't know that we're the most exceptional place in the world. I think there's many great countries in the world. And, hell, everybody knows I want to live in Mexico at some point. I think the way Mexico does stuff is great. I love the way they do things down there. It's incredibly simple. It's easy to follow.
They've kept it simple.
It's not a bad country.
The KISS method has something to say for us sometimes.
Keep it simple.
So, yeah.
Stupid!
Keep it simple.
I'm not denying America's doing well. I'm saying there's other countries that are doing well too, and we can learn from them. And we're making the same mistake that other empires, if you want to call us empire, or greatest country on earth, or wherever that we are at the moment, have made.
Sometimes Rome is burning.
Well, people
And our fear is that Rome's going to keep burning.
Well, and I think that's actually a great place to begin the wrap up here. Is I think. I think you're right. I think if you're from America, born and raised here, you do recognize that America is a great country. But if you get to travel, you recognize there are great things about a lot of these other nations that maybe we can incorporate into our union to make it a more perfect union. Because what we don't want is to wake up one day and find out that Rome is burning.
Show me a country that's not nationalistic. That people
Oh,
think
yeah.
that country sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't want to wake up and be Venezuela. I can promise you that.
I'll tell you the Venezuelans love Venezuela.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a phenomenal country.
Yeah, I mean,
So
and I think
we
that's the
all have
thing.
the same pride.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, because we all have the same pride in our countries and in our governments, I think we all recognize where the problems are, and we all, and I mean all by meaning every country, wants to see those things fixed. But at the end of the day, we want to. I think the one great thing, about America is that, we are, all in pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That may not be a part of the actual constitution of every country, but I think that's what every country is after at the end of the day. Their version of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, I would agree.
And with that, I'm going to end this podcast in the way I end all podcasts, and that is with the toast that started it all for me, and that is to good times with good people.
My problems all start with